Don sintió el zumbido de la batalla, como Cameron, y Walter, y Sunny, y Jesse, y Peggy, y Joe, y Anita, y Gordon, y hasta los zombies. Todos los personajes originales de AMC lo sintieron y supieron que serían los protagonistas de la mayor batalla que se libraría en las pantallas de todo el mundo. En esta guerra no hay dónde esconderse ni a dónde huir. Lineal contra no lineal. Que empiece la batalla.
Permission to do this presentation in English. This is something related that I'm especially weird. I'm a very strange guy, and suddenly I realized that we are in Bilbao. We are in the European e-commerce conference, and all the Spaniards are speaking in Spanish instead of English. And I think it's quite important to do something like the rest of the speakers. I mean, if we are talking about the reshaping the future of digital economy, we should be doing this in English. At least that's my perspective. So welcome. I know it's a very hard time, 3:25 in the afternoon. Now, if we were talking about linear television, we will probably be looking at a documentary about whales and going into a great siesta. But today is going to be a bit different, all right? And I would like to start with something with two icons. On the left-hand side, we have the badass. We have somebody that you probably know. He's the main character of a series developed by AMC, Breaking Bad. Does anyone know Breaking Bad? Eisenberg. Well, and on the other side, we have somebody that is very popular on the digital culture, which is Sheldon Cooper from TNT. Well, this is something that I have to share with you. There is two approaches on digital and television. Now we're talking about linear and non-linear. And we have companies like Netflix telling us that you can watch and we will tell you what you want to watch. And that remembers me something like Sheldon Cooper. I mean, Sheldon Cooper always have a burger on his piece of the seat every night on the same spot and repeats once after another day all the same procedures. On the other side, we have Walter White. We have Eisenberg, an individual that started his life as a chemistry teacher in a high school and ends up being a meth cooker, then a mob guy, and finally he runs all the operation of drug dealing in the southern parts of the United States. Well, I believe that we are not like Sheldon Cooper. I believe that we are like Eisenberg. And let me walk you about the fact that if you really feel that linear is death, you are mistaken. Because linear is alive, and it will be for a long time. Actually, if we look at some figures, 99% of the actual viewing of television is live, and only 1% is time-shifted. Of course, things will be changing in the future, but we still are in a very good shape when we talk about linear channels, about any type of thematic. And why? Because actually the viewer asks for it. We still enjoy, just dropping down in the couch and flipping and doing zapping around the channels, trying to find out things and enjoy things. Of course, the internet rate has increased from 36% penetration to 66% penetration. But in the same period of time, television has reached 88% of its target audience in the last 5 years. So, when people say, television is dead, this is something quite easy to say. But it's more complicated than that. A lot of televisions are happening at the same time. And Can you imagine trying to do a time shifted for the Real Madrid-Barça that it will take place on Saturday? Or trying to tape the news after what happened in Paris, which was horrible. Well, there is different types of televisions, but at this stage, linear television is in a very good shape. And it's not just because I say so. It's because right now we have 236 hours. That's the average viewing time per day per individual. And the great news about this is that probably you were thinking, no, maybe 10 years ago it was 400 minutes. Well, it was not. Actually, in 2007, there was 228 minutes. So, if actually, the masses were moving to just watch YouTube and Netflix and some other things, actually the amount of minutes that we will have seen, it would have, go down dramatically. The latest news is linear. Anything that happens is not time-shifted. It doesn't make sense to tape the latest sport results, the latest political polls. We have televisions like Telecinco right now that actually 80% of their programming is formally based on actual events, on the latest news, on the fights about hard issues or whatever it is. The number of live TV minutes consumed is increasing day by day. And the non-live television is decreasing. Yes, I agree. If you have a clear view of the series you want to watch, maybe you don't have to wait for Thursday evenings and watch it. But at the same time, if you want to go for it, maybe you have a date in front of your television with the amount of minutes that you have per day to enjoy yourself. And the very important thing is that, I don't know if I would like to have every single day the same type of consumption. And most of these nonlinear systems establish that they will recommend you something based on your past behavior. Well, I know that this morning I have a pincho de tortilla in Bilbao. I don't know if I will like a pincho de tortilla every morning for the rest of my life. So, trying to base, on past decisions what you will be consuming in the future is quite complicated. Because, sometimes I like series that are fun, sometimes I like to watch sports, sometimes I feel like I need to explore and find out things. My personality is more complicated than just something that is absolutely controlled. What is true is that video viewing on the streaming basis is increasing, and the downloading is going down. So, to be clear and to be absolutely transparent, online video viewings like YouTube is increasing, the online viewing of films and series are increasing, and people, seeing or watching TV broadcasts on the channel website is increasing. And absolutely, things that are, going down is any type of downloading that we used to have in the past. So all that hard drives and hard disk that you have tons of movies and that you keep as a treasure doesn't make any sense anymore, because actually on the streaming, you are able to see whatever you feel like. And you have to think about it, making choices and decisions every day. I asked some of the individuals on my team, and there are like 60 people working on the different areas that I run on AMC, to conduct a small research. And we find out that if you are, lucky enough to pay for your television and you have Jombi, which is a brilliant service, well, in Jombi you can find 19,317 titles. Brilliant. So you still have a lot of time to decide under 19,000 titles what you want. Think about it. I don't know how much time do you spend looking for things. So if you have to use something like Netflix or Jombi. But unless you know more or less what you want to do and the type of series you want to watch, to go experience, read the synopsis, go back, go up front, move from one side to the other, becomes a pain in the butt. And think about it, we criticize zapping all the time. But it's beautiful, I can, in less than 30 seconds, I can move up and down, seeing tons of programs and, trying to look out for something that suits me, depending on the type of mood that I am today. Maybe I'm, tired and I want to see something easy. Maybe I'm worried about news and I want to see something that is going on the 24, news program. But what I'm absolutely positive is that if you provide me 20,000 pieces of content, you're doing my life miserable. You're doing my life very, very complicated. Well, and not everybody has a VOD service. Only one percentage of the population. At this stage, there are only 4 million households in Spain with television, paid television, and approximately 75% of them have a VOD service. So actually, if you talk about the 14, 15 million households that we have in Spain, the amount of penetration of the VOD services are still very, very low. And linear isn't a spoiler. It's social. Think about it. So if you're very keen on a series, do you really want to have the issue that someone might be telling you what happened in the episode, or that he tells you if somebody has died or something has happened? Well, the great thing about linear is that we are watching at the same time what is happening. So the pieces of information are more or less shared. Talking about social, 49 of the viewers are actually using a second screen while they are watching something. And when we talk about this 49%, 25% of them, actually, they are, sharing or doing comments about the things they are watching. If you talk about a SVOD or VOD service, each one of us will be looking to a different type of piece of content. And that makes it more complicated, extremely complicated, in terms of sharing something that nobody else is watching at the same time that you are doing it. So, let me share with you some data about one of our greatest series, which is it was aired at the I think the last week of August, which was the prequel of The Walking Dead, which is Fear of the Walking Dead. We have more than 100 tweets per minute the day that it was August, which is not a very good moment to start any type of series. And just on the first episode, we have more than 3,841 tweets. But if we talk about the different other social aspects, during the series, we have more than 600,000 impressions. So when you're talking about linear, you're adding something to the product that people are enjoying. And it's the possibility to share, to express, to interact, to communicate with some other individuals. And there is another issue. Right now, we have a measurement system for the linear television. One single system where we can see what is going on between channels and programs and things like that. But when we talk about non-linear television, about VOD, time-shifted, NPVRs, etc., 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 we need to do heavy digging. We need to check out the Q panel. We have to check out the internet surfers. We have to see the YouTube metrics. We have to check out the rent track VOD analysis. We have to check out the AGM. We have to check the video online researches. We have to check the information, if we are lucky enough, that the telecom operators give us by their STBs. And we have to do ad hoc research trying to find out what's going on in non-linear television. Because non-linear happens in different places, in different devices, in different screens. So trying to gather all the information together to have a clear view of what people are watching is very, very complicated in mathematical terms. And we are in the digital world. Everything has to be measured. And if we're able to measure, we're able to make decisions. People want video. And the other thing is that there is not a single platform that has all the content. So if you really want to see everything, you will need to pay for everything. There are some products that Netflix is carrying that Zombie is not carrying, and at the same time, Wacky is carrying some things that Netflix is not carrying. So if you begin to analyze the amount of money you have to spend trying to see everything, you have to do a lot of complicated things, and especially you have to spend a lot of money on it. But also, there is a second thing. We, of course, like to see movies, we like to see films, we like to see series. But at the same time, we also want to see some other things. We like to see programs about cooking or fashion, and we like to see documentaries, and we like to see interviews, and we like to see other types of content. And unless we have a linear format that guarantees the production of that kind of content, the long tail, it's very complicated that it will guarantee other type of programming that is not mainstream. So linear is alive, and if we want a long tail, linear becomes very relevant to produce all that type of content. Some of you have been either my students or are my students right now. So you all know how keen I am on Sun Tzu, The Art of War. So yesterday we introduced the most expensive series that AMC has produced ever, Into the Badlands. And I decided to take a look at something that is quite old, which is The Art of War, that it was written 800 years before Christ, to check out if they could give us some clues about this linear and non-linear television issue. And over here you can see pictures of this great series. I expect you to see Into the Badlands and enjoy. This is the promotional part, this is the advertising part of the presentation that you will see every Wednesdays at 11 p.m., our series. But let's start with some of the rules that could affect us. Maneuver with an army is expedient. Maneuver with an undisciplined crowd is dangerous. With 19,000 titles, you don't have an army. You have, an undisciplined crowd. You have tons of people that are uncoordinated. And it's very, very, very complicated to give a right experience. Make your enemies see as something extraordinary what is normal for you. Make them see as something normal what is extraordinary for you. We've been in this business for 50 years. We know what the audience wants. We've been looking and tracking what they want. And production for us is something natural. Now, for them to produce a series, in the case of Netflix, is something extraordinary. Or Amazon. For us, is something that we do every day. On the other side, a victorious army wins first and starts the battle afterwards. We have already won. We have 88% of penetration of television so far. So we are fighting in a position that we have won already. And it's completely different. They will have to build up in a long period of time, and they will do, but they will still have to fight with individuals that are accustomed to linear television. When you are close, you should appear to be far away. And when you are far away, you should appear to be close. One of the things that everybody's saying is, hey, these guys from the linear channels, they don't know what they are doing. The young people, they are, consuming things, and they don't have a clue. So they are very far away from the customer. Bullshit. Actually, these youngsters, they are not studying and they are enjoying themselves, but 10 years from now, they will be working. And they will be working 12 hours a day. And when they get home, they will like to jump into the couch and do some shopping. So, if we move forward, the first to reach a battlefield awaits the arrival of the enemy fresh for the fight. We're expecting Netflix. We're fresh. We still have the brands, we have the content, because actually they need our content to succeed. So we are extremely fresh, and that we have to do the right things. The generals who know all the possible ways of taking advantage of the terrain know how to command armed forces. We know how to use production. We know how to use advertising. We know how to use marketing. We've been doing for a long, long time, and we're able to do it in the future. If you know others and you know yourself, not even 100 battles will you be at risk. We've been fighting to gain audience for a long, long time. We know our product, we know our data, we know everything that we need to know. There is small steps that we have to move or to take towards, on-demand services, but we have very relevant data. If your forces are orderly whilst they are chaotic, if you and your forces are motivated and they are demoralized, even though they are greater in number, you may enter the battle. We are ready. We have the data, we have the content, we have the amount of channels, we have verticals in almost any area. And most of the things that you will find in the platforms in the VOD is just the mainstream product. So the things that will be evolving will not be just mainstream products, but products that we have developed for a long, long time. When you fight on a mountain, attack downwards from the above, not the other way around. They are building their customer base on daily basis. We have already the audience. We just need to provide the audience what they want, but we don't need to build the audience. And when the troops face dangers, they are capable of fighting for victory. We have to do changes. We have to integrate probably more clearly the VOD, the on-demand, the SVOD, the NPR, the DVR in our strategy. But not as a result of choosing one or the other, but combining. And we will be much better combining things than anyone else. HBO Go can be developed because HBO Linear exists.
Esta vez no escapará.
Mírame.
Into the Badlands, los miércoles en AMC.
Thank you. Don't be a spoiler. ¿Tenemos?
Sí, si hay alguna pregunta en la sala, yo creo que hay tiempo para una o dos preguntas, si alguno tiene alguna cuestión.
It's either I've been extremely clear or extremely mixed.
Extremely clear. Aquí tenemos una pregunta. Si le podéis acercar el micrófono, por favor. Ahora.
No.
¿No?
I was saying hello. I guess I should make the question in English.
You can do it in English
Because
or in Spanish. I speak Spanish also.
I agree on your point. So my question is, I agree that probably what it is important in digital is giving choice to customers. So the question is, between linear and non-linear, the question is that linear TV has a, when you think on on linear TV, you think on a traditional TV set. So the question of giving choice means combining probably in the same device some intelligence that gives you the possibility of choosing between live, programmed, or time-shifted content. Is that possible now?
Yes, actually it is. I mean, so there are several OTT platforms that allow you to combine both the linear channels. Zombie allows you to see the channel as a linear content, but also to select, pieces and contents specifically in the same platform. The problem, at least from my understanding, is not if you're going to choose linear or non-linear. My problem at this stage is we have some operators offering non-linear offerings and not making money out of it. And there are new commerce like Netflix, which are actually charging 10 euros per month to have just VOD. What I see is that each time that you use a different approach, a different linear, non-linear, if you use it on portable devices or not, you should be charged for it. And also, if you are only going to provide VOD service, your algorithm has to be much better than what the algorithm is doing right now, which is basically recommending you products based on what you have seen on the prior week. So if you have 20,000 pieces of content, you have to add a lot of data to have something that could be meaningful for me and that could direct me to certain specific types of content. Because maybe last week I was depressed and I needed to see, a comedy. And now I'm feeling, aggressive and I want to see Into the Badlands on Wednesdays at 11 p.m. Because I need something very aggressive. So I think the main issue over here is linear provides me the plurality on a very simplistic way. I just do something and find out something. On the VOD side, it's much more complicated.
Muy bien. ¿Hay alguna pregunta más? Bueno, pues muchísimas gracias, Manuel.
Gracias.
Thank you.
And an individual that started his life as a chemistry teacher in a high school and ends up being a meth cooker, then a mob guy, and finally he runs all the operation of drug dealing in the southern parts of the United States. Well, I believe that we are not like Sheldon Cooper. I believe that we are like Eisenberg. And let me walk you about the fact that if you really feel that linear is death, you are mistaken, because linear is alive, and it will be for a long, long time. Actually, if we look at some figures, 99% of the actual viewing of television is live, and only 1% is time-shifted. Of course, things will be changing in the future. I'm a very strange guy, and suddenly I realized that we are in Bilbao. We are in the European e-commerce conference, and all the Spaniards are speaking in Spanish instead of English. And I think it's quite important to do something like the rest of the speakers. I mean, if we are talking about the reshaping the future of digital economy, we should be doing this in English. At least that's my perspective. So welcome. I know it's a very hard time, 3:25 in the afternoon. Now, if we were talking about linear television, we will probably be looking at a documentary about whales and going into a great siesta. But today is going to be a bit different, all right? And I would like to start with something with two icons. On the left-hand side, we have the badass. We have somebody that you probably know is the main character of...
Don sintió el zumbido de la batalla, como Cameron, y Walter, y Sunny, y Jesse, y Peggy, y Joe, y Anita, y Gordon, y hasta los zombies. Todos los personajes originales de AMC lo sintieron y supieron que serían los protagonistas de la mayor batalla que se libraría en las pantallas de todo el mundo. En esta guerra no hay dónde esconderse, ni a dónde huir. Lineal contra no lineal. Que empiece la batalla.
Permission to do this presentation in English. This is something related that I'm especially weird. But we still are in a very good shape when we talk about linear channels, about any type of thematic. And why? because actually the viewer asks for it. We still enjoy, just dropping down in the couch and flipping and doing zapping around the channels, trying to find out things and enjoy things. Of course, the internet rate has increased from 36% penetration to 66% penetration. But in the same period of time, television has reached 88% of its target audience in the last 5 years. So, when people say, television is dead, this is something quite easy to say. But it's more complicated than that. A lot of televisions are happening at the same time. And can you imagine trying to do a time shifted for a series developed by AMC, Breaking Bad? Does anyone know Breaking Bad? Eisenberg? Well, and on the other side, we have somebody that is very popular on the digital culture, which is Sheldon Cooper from TNT. Well, this is something that I have to share with you. There is two approaches on digital and television. Now we're talking about linear and non-linear. And we have companies like Netflix telling us that you can watch and we will tell you what you want to watch. And that remembers me something like Sheldon Cooper. I mean, Sheldon Cooper always have a burger on his piece of the seat every night on the same spot and repeats once after another day all the same procedures. On the other side, we have Walter White, we have Eisenberg.